This episode has been brought to you by Fornos Law Firm, devoted to optimizing your legal results at fornoslaw.com.
Welcome to Push Rim Life After Injury podcast for November 14, 2013, episode 33, Abilities Expo. I'm Ray Pizarro.
I'm Richard Bell.
We want to thank our audience once again for being with us. These podcasts were created to talk about spinal cord injury related topics, disability resources, and also spotlight individuals that found ways to get past their injuries and are a great source of inspiration for all of us. Before we get started, we'd like to give a special shout out, if you will, to a few people that's been a great support to us and just been great, a great backbone for us and had a lot of great comments. I'd like to start off with Israel Lopez, Pastor Richard Armstrong, and Matthew Tilford. Thank you, guys. We appreciate your support.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the feedback.
And with that, we're going to introduce, we have a special guest with us that's going to be able to talk a little more in depth about the Abilities Expo. If you don't know about it, I think it's an invaluable resource and something that therapists, family members, and everyone touched by any type of disability should know about. And with that, we introduce Valerie Teague to the show. Welcome, Valerie.
Thank you. Welcome. Very happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Yeah, glad you finally made it. Hey, so tell us about yourself a little bit.
Well, I've been with Abilities Expo since its inception, which was in 2008. I came from, the background was from career fairs. One of the owners had another company. He did 25 years with career fairs and then purchased this company with the other owner, and we started Abilities Expo.
Awesome. And how many years ago was that?
That would be about 5 years.
Okay.
But Abilities Expo itself was founded by a gentleman by the name of Richard Wooten, who was a post-polio survivor and a wheelchair user in the late 70s. And he had his first expo in the spring of 1979.
And what city was that?
It was in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And it was started sort of on a scheme, on an idea. It wasn't really meant to be an expo. It was started because there was a lack of products, a lack of products to look at. Right. He had other friends who were also wheelchair users, and there was no internet, there were no catalogs, and they came up with this scheme of trying to get the East Coast dealers out here to bring their products out here so they could look at more than just one, and decided to have this sort of mini expo. And what started on sort of a scheme it had some commercial value, and that's how it started.
And it probably was a very a great thing to have in such a populated area where you get a lot of people with different disabilities and maybe don't have a place to really tap into those type of resources, correct? Right.
Well, and Richard Wooten himself was very high profile. He was actually an early advocate before ADA existed, of ADA-like rights. So he was pretty high profile himself. And
oh, that helps.
Yeah.
That definitely helps.
Right.
So as far as Abilities Expo, I mean, what type of cities do you guys do now? I know your website has a lot of info on that, but so where were like the top 3 places where it started? Maybe what cities?
The first 2 cities were in the LA area, and then New Jersey. New Jersey, it's been there over 30 years. The same place, the New Jersey Convention Center. We like to call it the New York Metro / New Jersey.
Okay.
So it's in Edison, New Jersey. It's where you don't even have to send a mailing out in New Jersey. People they always know it's at the same time. It's in May every year, and they just come. It's a very accessible area, and it's very popular.
We got to go check that one out, right?
Yeah, it sounds like a great demographic out there, and I know we have a lot of members on our site that are from the Jersey area too.
And then the other cities are Atlanta, Chicago, but it's in Schaumburg, so it's in the suburbs. We've got Houston, which is huge, by the Tier Memorial, and obviously Atlanta has the Shepherd Center. We have Boston.
That's right.
Yeah,
Boston.
a couple of our friends went to the Boston one this year.
It was our first time.
Oh, okay.
And it was huge. And then, of course, we have Northern California. We have San Jose, which is coming up in 2 weeks.
Oh,
Super
that's
exciting.
a bit of a drive, though. Huh?
Yeah, it really is. But you know what? If I tell people if they could travel to their Abilities Expo near them, it's invaluable because for my first time going, it opened up my eyes to so many possibilities. And I do remember when I saw that first piece of adaptive equipment that just blew my mind and said, oh my God, it's possible. I can do it. And there it is. There's a way of doing it. I mean, you're regaining a piece of independence that you lost, after your injury, and to see all these nuggets of resources there at your disposal, it just breaks all the barriers.
Right.
down.
It's stuff that you wouldn't think about and stuff that just completely alters how you do your day-to-day activities. And on a special note, Ray and I first met at the Abilities Expo in LA.
Wow.
Correct.
Or was it Anaheim? It was in Anaheim.
It was
right?
on one of those Abilities
Yeah, it was in
Expo.
Anaheim.
Yeah, that's right.
That's how we met.
We actually, Richard, rolled in his power chair when he was in a power chair back in the day, and we introduced ourselves. I met Ema, and we always kept in touch. Something about meeting people, and that's another big thing is a community aspect of it.
It's such a connected community. It's such a supportive community, and everybody's family.
Yeah, and when it comes, I always look forward to the Abilities Expo here because it's almost like a family reunion.
Oh.
Because, we know so many people in chairs because of the different support groups and,
Right.
all the activities we're involved in. So we have a lot of friends. And all of us are at one place at one time, and it's really kind of a great party.
So what year
Every
did you
year.
guys meet?
2000, I want to say 2002 maybe, or 2000.
No, it wasn't that long ago.
No?
It must have been like around 2006, I'm thinking.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
So 2 years before we purchased it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's when it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool, man. It's really nice. Valerie, I want to ask you a question that I'm sure you had a lot of experience with now. If you would like to share with our audience, what is like the first thing you saw that really touched your heart, like as far as either a new patient or someone new that came to the Abilities Expo for the first time and kind of wowed, they were at all and all the things. Does any moment stand out?
There's usually a sort of an aha moment at every one of our shows. Whether it's with a child or whether it's with someone that's older. But in this instance, the first sort of wow, aha moment was with a child that was about 5 years old. And it was actually at the LA show. And he had been in a wheelchair all his life, or, from when he was born. And there was a Prime, I think was the exhibitor. They had a sort of a cage type of unit where you could stand in it and be able to walk with support. And so he was actually able to throw a ball with one hand and still be able to walk around a room, and it was incredible. So he was fitted into this particular unit, and he started to walk. And he was running all over the room saying, "Mommy, Mommy, look at me, I'm Superman, I can walk." And it's probably a moment I'll never forget. I cry I still cry when I tell the story. He comes back every year with his mom. But it doesn't stop there. There was an exhibitor in the next booth who sells beds for children with autism, who also witnessed it, and there were tears in their eyes as well. And they asked this exhibitor how much something like that cost, and I think the cost was between $4,000 and $5,000. And they stepped up at the end of the show on Sunday and wrote the check for this single mother and bought the unit for the boy. So
Beautiful.
It's that kind of a community. It's and things like that happen consistently at our show, and it's
Dang,
just
Valerie,
really rewarding.
You made Ray cry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it stuff like that is so touching, and it's and you know, sometimes it's not all about business. You know, the human part of us just takes over and sees the big picture.
Right.
You know, that little kid obviously was the best day of his life, and just to see him up and doing something out of the ordinary that maybe thought it was impossible to do at one time, there he was rolling around the expo and
Right.
on his feet, happy as you know
Right.
what, you know.
Right.
And this is fantastic. This is why me as a volunteer at a rehab hospital at Rancho, I do a little bit of help there. I'm always steering people to make sure they go one time at least. You know, after you see what's available and what different options. I mean, some people to this day that I meet ask them, "Do you know about the Abilities Expo?" And they tell me no. What is that? I said, "Oh my goodness!" And these guys have been hurt over 10 years, and they never been to one of these things. And I think it's one of the most Richard to tell you.
It's like a basic thing you need to go to, especially if you're newly injured.
And it's not only for like people that are injured. I mean, families, doctors,
Caretakers,
therapists, all those get so much out of going to those places because then later they could take back to their, to their place of work and share it with their patients.
And for our non-spinal cord injured listeners out there, it's for all kinds of disabilities.
Wide range.
Yes. Autism. Valerie will tell you.
Right. I don't think I need to. I think I'm going to take you with me.
Yeah. Well, you have all the experience and you've been to these so many times and now tell us what new thing maybe have you seen that's pretty cool at the expo that wasn't there before? Anything that stands out?
I mean, something for spinal cord injury would be and I'm sure you guys are aware of it, are the exobionics.
That's right.
The exoskeleton.
Right, the exoskeletons. And they're bionic labs up in UC Santa Cruz. But they are at the show, okay. and there's always someone that is sort of modeling it so people can see how they work. And that's just amazing. It's just amazing to see someone in that suit with a spinal cord injury walking, dancing even. Dancing.
And do you get a lot of new companies and organizations signing up every year that have like some kind of amazing device?
Well, that's it, and that's exactly
year,
we're trying to. That's exactly, and that's my role, is to try and always find new products, new services that help everybody. And the challenge is that we want to encompass every type of disability,
right?
Not just spinal cord injury. But that is a challenge because someone with someone that's hearing impaired, is one community, and they don't necessarily identify with a community that might be deaf. They don't necessarily consider that the same community. Someone that has a vision impairment doesn't necessarily consider themselves in the same community as the blind community. Someone with a spinal cord injury doesn't necessarily consider themselves in the same community as someone with a disease. Someone with autism doesn't necessarily relate to someone with ADHD. So it's those kinds of challenges that we do run into. It's sometimes hard to get people to our shows that, let's take the autism community. It's hard to sometimes bring in new products because the products that we want to bring in for this community, the exhibitors usually want to be at institutions or rehab facilities or hospitals or schools, but they don't necessarily think the end user is the place that they should be.
Right.
Where I completely, from my perspective, disagree with that, because it's the end user that sees the product that needs to be going back to that teacher and saying, I just saw this speech-to-text technology that I think my child could really benefit from.
Could you help make that accommodation happen?
Right. And it's the same with the spinal cord. If you didn't see that exoskeleton, how would you know about it?
And a lot of time is educating people about it, right?
Right.
Bringing it home, bringing it to your work environment or school and letting them look, it's possible, here it is.
Right. Yeah. So, but it's a challenge because it also, and there are budgetary issues to consider, and I understand that. And so, or we understand that. So we try and do the best we can to make it, to accommodate everybody.
And that's a good thing about being in such a community, we're a disabled community in a whole,
right,
is that there's other means. There's
right.
grants, there's fundraising communities, there's all type of things, but it takes us to go out and be in it to be able to, get the most out of it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and so the other question I had was, I know that you've expanded to so many more cities, around the States. Are you guys going to continue to expand?
I think 7 cities is about as much as most of our exhibitors can handle. Again, they don't just do our shows, they do other shows. And from a budgetary consideration, I think it's as much as they can handle. So I think the answer is going to probably be no for now. Ray asked a question earlier when we weren't on the air about international shows, and if they come to us, as a licensee, we might go to these other places, but we don't speak Japanese, we don't speak Portuguese, so unless they come to us, then we would certainly, as a licensee, go to these other cities, and we do get approached. So some of those things are in the future, conceptually and
potentials.
Right.
Yeah, we have a lot of international members. I'm sure.
Right.
Ears just perked up. Yeah.
Right.
So you guys get a hold of Valerie. Make it happen.
And I'll get you to our
make it happen.
Yeah, and I don't want to leave out that the two gentlemen that I work for, the 2 partners, they're not. This is they're private owners, and I think that's what makes this such a benefit to all the exhibitors and the attendees. They're doing this. This isn't like they're doing this from the I'm going to say this is going to sound kind of corny, but from the goodness of their hearts. They're kind of, they see the reward. This is a rewarding experience for them.
Yeah.
They love doing this, and we give away 1/3 of our booth space for not-for-profits because they see the benefit in doing that and in helping this community go further. So without them, this really wouldn't be possible. So. And I really believe that.
Sounds like you have a great team of people on the same track.
Without David Course or Lou Schomer, none of this would be possible.
Well, we want to thank David and what was the other gentleman? Lou Schomer also for having this great team put together and giving the disabled community such a great event that we look forward to every year that just makes a big difference to many families, friends, people going through stuff, and it's invaluable, I think.
Yeah, and before we wrap up, can you tell us a little bit quickly about your website?
Great question, thank you. So there's 2 things. Where are we going in the future? Because we did talk about international. The one thing that we are doing, and you were asking about the 7 cities, so thank you about that. What we are doing to compensate for not necessarily going more than the 7 cities is we have abilities365.com, which is a digital sort of version of not expanding to the other cities. So go to abilities365.com, and that's a way for everybody else nationally across our country and internationally to view all the same products and services under one roof that people are able to view when they come to Chicago, Boston, New York, Atlanta, Los Angeles, San Jose. They can now do it online.
Cool.
and that's what we're trying to do, to at least allow that product and that resource and do it online. The website anybody can go to, www.abilitiesexpo.com. All our phone numbers are on there. You can contact David Corse. His phone number is on there. Just go to the website. All our contact numbers are on there. And everybody is approachable. One of the beautiful things about our company is that we are on site at every show, all of us. Every show,
Excellent.
every day, every minute, and we are on site every day, 365 days a year.
Yeah,
So,
every time I see
I
you there,
know.
you're a blur.
She's
You're like just
blurring by.
zigzagging and everything.
So you can reach any of us.
Okay,
So
great.
we are
Yeah, and I'm
committed.
also looking at the Abilities 360 website right now. They got a great. You guys need to check them out. The site directory is great. They have different products and services, learning centers, community news, videos. I mean, it's a really, really great job they're doing with that.
And
Yeah,
guys,
I think-
Push Rim's going to be up there next week.
Look out for us too. We're
I don't
gonna
know
get
about
a little
next week,
spot.
but we're gonna when we get it, we'll be there soon, and we're gonna try to do it right. So
Yeah. Well, great. Valerie, thanks for being with us. I mean, you've
Yeah.
been such a great, valuable guest on our show, and
yeah,
we'd
she's
like
been
to
a
have
great
you.
help to push from.
Yes, yes.
Thank you
I'd like to thank you for that.
having
All your support too in the other years
Yeah.
that we've been there, and gave us a little spot there. And thank David also for making that happen
Absolutely.
for us. We are grateful.
And yeah, and to our members, be sure to check us out. We'll be at the Los Angeles Abilities Expo,
February 28th.
February 28th. So mark your calendars. All right, and with that, you can reach us. Our YouTube channel is Club Pushrim. Please subscribe, and also, you can reach us at our main home, www.pushrim.com.
That's right. iTunes. We're on iTunes also, and we have a small Facebook page there that you could tap into. So all these social networks, any which way you consume us, we appreciate you, and hopefully our community can grow, and we could bring you more in-depth interviews and tap into these invaluable resources that make a difference. So Valerie, thanks once again for being with us. We'll have you soon again in the future, and it was fun.
Thank you both.
All right.
Thanks a lot. And with that, we leave you guys, and remember, there's always life after injury.
That's right.
Take care.
Later.
Bye.